Hello and welcome everyone to the Rangers Journal. This is a continuing series looking at who could possibly take over as Rangers manager in the summer. I'm joined by Joe today. Joe, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. Very happy to be with you today.
Thank you very much. And I guess we'll talk about what we're here to, or who we're here to talk about, and that's to Marek Papszun. Did I say that right?
Yeah, close enough.
Close enough. Yeah, it's okay. You can be unkind to him if you'd like. Now he is the manager of Rakov Chastanova. Am I correct in saying that as well?
Yeah, it's Częstochowa, but again,
Chastanova.
close enough. I teach you like 20 seconds ago, so close enough.
Yeah, but you were saying when we chatted before that Rakov is kind of like saying the Rangers. It's not really the way you'd say the team, is it?
Yeah, so in Poland, it's like everywhere else in the world. Like very often, you have the name of the town and you have an additional name in the club's name. So, but we usually say Raków.
Rakov. Thank you very much. So let me find out a bit about yourself. What is it you do, and where are you based?
So I live in Poland now. I have my company in there, and on my free time, I'm also a Polish football enthusiast. So I have a media about it, and I also work with a Polish football agency.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, let me get into the questions. I don't want to keep you all night. Papson, how did he get into management?
So that's a very funny story actually, because he's from, I would say, the suburb, a large suburb of Warsaw. And originally, he's not a football coach. He's an academic. So, no, sorry, I have a extremist that noise. No, did someone connect or
Yeah,
something?
sorry, Joe. On you go. I got a bit of noise there as well. Sorry.
Okay, so originally he's an academic. He's a teacher in Poland. When you're a teacher, you can teach more than one domain. So he is history teacher and sports one as well. Don't know why he's chosen two domains that are so far from each other, but anyway, that's what he's done. So he puts a lot of psychology in football. He started maybe 10, 12 years ago, or maybe even a little bit more than that. Again, suburb of Warsaw, so it's called Zomki. And then, he moved one, two other clubs, and he arrived in Częstochowa, and he started to manage Raków. I think they were in the 5th league in Poland, or 4th league. And they came up year after year to finally manage to get into the Ekstraklasa, which is the Polish top league. They won the cup when they were still in the 2nd league, and I think 2 years after here they arrived in Ekstraklasa, they won the doublet, so Polish league, Polish cup. Last year he was replaced by his assistant, that is David Szwarga, but this year he came back, and before that, 2 days ago, I would have said to you that Marek Papszun was leading Raków to the title once again, but actually they lost on Saturday and Lech won yesterday, so probably they will finish second. But it was very close to be champion again.
Can you tell me a little bit why he was replaced by his assistant? Was there controversy around that?
Yeah, you know what? I think nobody knows. He said he wanted to take a break. We all thought that he would sign in a club somewhere, like he was linked to Germany, he was linked to the Greek national team, another team in Bulgaria or Hungary, I can't remember. I think he took English lessons as well during this year, so we all thought he would go, in a better league than Poland. But in the end, he signed for. So Raków didn't do so well with Szwarga, and he was free, so he came back to Raków. Management style or the way the team played really changed. So it's new Papszun, I would say. I don't know how to explain. Like same guy, but different outcome.
Different, okay. And his style, from his first spell to this spell, has his style of play changed? Has that been part of the reason?
Once again, like very hard to say. A lot of things change at Raków as well. Marek Papszun is someone, he has his own character, let's say. So it's very hard to give you an answer on that.
Okay, no, that's okay. Do you think that because he's done the hard legs, he's done a lot of work getting to where he is, has that benefited him? You know, you hear about a lot of coaches that just come in and they get the top job right away, but he's actually put a lot of years and he's had a lot of experience working his way up, learning the trade, really.
Yes, actually, because obviously I suppose that the people that watch your channel, they won't know Poland, but probably they know a coach from Sunderland that's called Regis Lebris, and it's a bit the same. Like, the guys are really into psychology. They started at the bottom, and Papszun, I think for him it was very beneficial. I will give you one story about him. He arrived at Rakov, and some players said that one of the things he asked them is, before the game, they put on a paper what they would do during the game and why. And after the game, they would take another paper and write, okay, what did I do good? What did I do wrong? In relation to the first paper. That's the kind of things that, if you're a coach and it's your first year at top level and you ask professional players to do that, very likely you're not gonna get any answer. But because he started at the bottom, the guy was really were really listening to him. And as I said at the beginning, years after year they climbed, and they finally managed to go to Ekstraklasa. So it's part of his management. I don't know if he still does that, but it's definitely part of his management. And he forged his whole career about trying things with amateurs, and then now with the professional he can just I think he has a slightly different type of management than the guys usually see at this level.
Okay. And when it comes to his kind of one-on-one coaching, I guess skills is one way of putting it. Is he quite good at improving players? Does he see like a diamond in the rough and bring someone through it and turn them into like a top level player?
So basically, Rakov Częstochowa is a team with a stadium of 5,000 seats. So when you go to Poland, it's probably the worst stadium, and they
Right.
finished champions. They won the cup. He probably, you guys will know Cernach, that signed for Norwich last year for 10 million euros.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure he arrived under Papszun. Then they also formed the goalkeeper Kovacevic, that signed for Sporting Lisbon for 8 million euros as well.
Mm-hmm.
They have many other players, that they pass through Rakov, they go to other clubs, very often better clubs. He's very strict coach, so he will see a gem, but he doesn't care. Like, if the club buys a player for 5 million, let's say tomorrow he signs for Rangers and you sign a player for £5 million, for the fans, they will wait to see the player on the pitch. But Papszun, if he decides the guy is not ready, he will stay on the bench.
Right.
Now, if he doesn't really enjoy working with young players as well, but if he sees a player that is, I don't know, 23, 24, 25 years old, and the guy is in the reserve or something, Papszun doesn't care. He will put that guy on the pitch. Same thing with the forward, for example. Very often with Papszun, you have forwards that score less than 10 goals per season. He doesn't care because the guy enters his plan.
Right.
He has very strict IDs, but very often you see players improve with him.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. Does Papszun have free range at Rakov with signings, or does he work under like a sporting director?
So that's another, I would say, trait of character of Papszun. He likes to control a lot of things, if not everything. So in
Okay.
Rakov, I think the sports director changed 3 or 4 times over the last 3 years. The last one left during the season, and I think hasn't been replaced. They just signed as an advisor. They signed the previous sports director of a team in Bulgaria. But yeah, he likes to be in command. But once again, they sign a lot of players from different countries, so he cannot see them. He cannot know all of them. So it may be that the club signs 10 players. Out of those 10, Papszun likes only 3, so the 7 others won't play. But it, he's very particular coach on that.
With regards to the transfer fees you mentioned earlier on, do the club reinvest that money, or do they tend to hold on to it? Does he get to go out with
Yeah,
his checkbook?
yeah. Raków spends a lot,
Right.
especially for a Polish club, but very often it pays off after a few years. So when they sign players and they were in a deficit of 3, 4, 5 million euros, for a Polish club it's a lot. But in the last 2, 3 years, they also sold for 20 million euros. So yeah, it's like investment,
Yeah.
and it pays off. And that's what you would expect from a club that has a stadium of only 5,000 seats, because they don't have a lot of ways to get money. It's obviously trading.
Yeah. Yeah. In regards the the previous windows and previous spending, sorry. Obviously, when we are limited with the caliber of player we can also sign. We're not going out to sign, the players that play top of the Premier League. But if he had access to a better standard of player, do you feel that he hasn't met his ceiling yet? He could go on to be an even better manager, but if there's better players around him.
That's actually the question that everyone asks in Poland. We want to see him in a better club, because we want to know how, especially an environment like Scotland, with let's say you really have 2 clubs that are top of the league, the Rangers and the Celtics, and we see how he reacts with big clubs in Poland when he faces Lech Poznań or Legia Warszawa or Jagiellona Białystok. We really want to see how he can do in an environment like the Rangers, especially that, in my opinion, the Rangers, you have one of the weakest team of the last 5 years I've seen you have, and
Yeah, I don't think we disagree.
But as I said, he can reveal players. So it's not because you have a team that is maybe, let's say, I can't remember how many points you separate from Celtics this year, maybe 15 or more.
Yeah, I think. I'd have to double. I've
Yeah.
stopped looking, to be honest with you. It was
Yeah.
16, and
Yeah.
and the thing is the results haven't been against Celtic. We've beaten Celtic twice in the league and drawn, so we've been dropping points against teams that technically should be
Yeah.
inferior to us.
So with Papszun, it's very likely you're gonna see improvement. Now, with the exact same team, can you finish above Celtic? Not sure. Can you have more fun than you currently have? This I'm pretty sure.
How does he work with regards to the media? Does he come across well? Is he quite argumentative? Could he deal with a league that only has 2 teams and say he's not currently the winning team?
So when he obviously, when they arrived in the Ekstraklasa with Raków, it wasn't planned at all for them to be in the top team straight away. He managed that very well, but at the same time, Raków, they don't have any rivalry with anyone in Poland, because they are a club that didn't exist 5 years ago on the map of Polish football. This year, people were waiting for him to come back, and Raków, as I said, they almost finished champion. There is still a chance for them to finish champion. He looks a bit more tensed in press conference or on the bench. Like this weekend, you could see him. He was on a phone speaking with his assistant. He was going completely mad. He got sent off the pitch, I think, once or twice already. But for me, that's not a problem, because the most important is that for a coach is that he has his group behind him. Like you can see Jose Mourinho. He's always been a showman with the press. Then Was it a problem? No, he won several Champions Leagues, several titles. So for me, that's not a problem.
With regards to the training side of things, does he work with the same backroom staff that you mentioned there? Would he be coming to another team with the same guys that he's got there, or would he take on whoever's at the club?
He, at Rakuf, he was from the very beginning with his team. He got assistants. Some left. One of his assistants is currently the coach of Legia Warszawa, and so David Szwarga, that was at Rakuf last year, he's currently the coach of AK Gdynia. So obviously he had to replace them. Now, I suppose that if he has opportunity to go to a club like the Rangers, he would probably, maybe bring one or two guys, but not
Right.
the whole staff.
Right.
But that doesn't make really sense to do that. It's very rare to have a coach that really step up in a club, but wants to have a 10-guy staff. It doesn't work like that.
We seem to be getting those type of managers, and then when we do have to pay them off, we've got to pay off the backroom staff as well. So we've been the bad side of that. Also, when it comes to his training and that kind of thing, does he take a lot of responsibility to himself, or does he have like set piece coaches, goalkeeping coaches, or is he kind of bear the brunt of that?
This I don't know. I'm not sure. He has a good style behind him at the moment. Then, does he want to do everything, or is he delegating this? I'm not entirely sure. Wouldn't be able to say.
Okay. He was known as quite an aggressive type person, certainly playing. Has he taken that aggressiveness into his coaching style as well?
Actually, so 2 years ago, as I said, the same guy, different management type. So 2 years ago, Rakuf was a team that was really playing well. They scored 63 goals in the season. So it's almost 2 goals per game in Poland. Everybody liked to see Rakuf play. Then this season, it's much more defense, aggressiveness. The guys, they really believe until the end that they can score. It happened many, many times this year that they were drawing or losing at, 85th, 88th minute. And finally, they draw the game or they won. So, yeah, I suppose that he really wants player at the top of their mentality. Like he wants them to believe until the end. Okay, we can do it. Sometimes it's too far because they took red cards this year, a few of them. Again this weekend, red card against the Jagiellonia Białystok, which was probably led for them to them losing the game. But on this, before it was really like, okay, guys, we go, we play well, we score goals and so on. Now it's more like we defend well, we build the game on our pace, and at the end, if we need to score, everybody goes. But he doesn't want to see players cheating.
Okay. Let me just go through his normal setup for the team. Does he play 4 at the back, 5 at the back?
So it's always been 3 players at the back.
Okay.
On the left side, 1 left-footed. On the right side, 1 right-footed.
Mm-hmm.
Then he has 1 right back, 1 left back. They really they run all the game.
Right.
Defensively, offensively. They bring more players on the front, cross a lot. He has a center forward that doesn't score that many goals, and he likes them this way. I've never seen Papszun play with a forward that you would think, oh, this guy is going to score 25 goals. He doesn't care about that. For him, I would say the 4 more important players are the 4 midfielders, the 2 that are really at the midfield and the 2 that are right behind the forward. He's always had exceptional players at those positions. Right now, you have a Ukrainian guy and another guy, I think, from Norway. It's Berggren and Kochergin. You have, maybe if you watch the qualifiers last year for Champions League, they were playing. On the front, he has I don't know, maybe this year he has 5 or 6 players. They have, for Poland, a lot of qualities. And it's those players that actually score the goals with Papszun.
Okay.
It's the 2 behind the forwards and even the 2
Is it quite
midfielders.
a narrow system, or does he like to play
It's very wide.
very wide, right? Okay.
Yeah. Even you can see like the I don't know how to explain. If you look at the Christmas tree from Ancelotti from Milan in 2003, 2004, so Papszun, I would say it's another iteration of this Christmas tree, except that you have obviously one less midfielder, one more defender. But Ancelotti was really like how to say, they were bringing the ball in the middle, where Papszun has a tendency to go on the wings to finally come back. So, or by a cross, or surplus of players. And then, because they would finish 4-5 in the box, it's very likely that at some point, one of the 2 players behind the forward is going to have an opportunity to shoot, and that's how they scored a lot of goals this season. Like, I would say mid distance or right at the beginning of the box. Again, as well as I said, his center forward is very. So I don't know how tall is your? It's the guy from Belgium, right? Dessers or something
Yeah,
like
so
that.
he's quite tall. Not that
Yeah.
he's particularly great with his head,
No.
and not that he's particularly not that he particularly holds the ball up well. But we had Alfredo Morelos for a few seasons, who was
No.
stocky. He could hold the ball up.
Yeah.
Dessers doesn't seem to do that. That's what I was going to come on to, the physical aspects of the centre forward position. Does he like a strong person to hold the ball up?
Number 9, definitely. So his center forward is right now he's playing with the cousin of Haaland.
Yeah.
And the guy is about 188, I think. I don't know how it is in foot, but it's very tall. I've never seen Papszun play with a guy that was less than 185 as a forward. But again, for him, I would say technique is not the most important thing for the forward. He really wants a presence, and it really frees the 2 guys behind the forward, and that's them that are the most important. They do everything,
Right.
them and the 2 midfielder behind. So
I just had a quick look. Dessers is 185, so reasonably, reasonably tall. But just he's not that type of player. He's a finisher, I guess, rather than someone who's going to hold the ball up. So that's definitely not what he likes.
Yeah, but
and Dessers has scored a lot of goals. I mean, it's just that he misses a lot of chances as well.
But I think you could compare like with so Brot Larsen, the cousin of Holland. I'm pretty, he's loaned by a club from Belgium. I'm pretty sure when he arrived, the guys were thinking like, oh, he's a finisher, he doesn't do this and that. But Papszun, he can transform a player because he likes to play one way. I'm pretty sure, some of the players from the Rangers would learn a lot of things with him. But as I said, strict management. So or you enter in the system of Papszun or you don't. And that's what he sees in you. He's a bit like, I would say, and I don't want to make too much comparison, but he's a bit crazy like Marcelo Bielsa.
Okay.
Like, you can play really well with Papszun, but at the same time, some players will never enter in his system. So if you're out, you're out.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is.
Let me pull the formation back a little bit, because we did skip over the midfield. You were mentioning he plays with 2 in that holding midfield position. Is that correct?
Yeah. So they're usually the guys that are really good with the ball. So at the moment, it's Kočergin and Berggren. Kočergin, I'm pretty sure he's going to be transferred because he's free agent this summer.
Okay.
It's also guys that they can shoot from far distance. Again, they bring more players in the box. It's not unusual to see finishing from Kočergin, for example. When they got when they were champion, Coach Ergin scored 12 goals. So for a midfielder,
Yeah.
it's not that bad. He
It's
didn't.
more than not bad. Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, those guys are super important because they really dispatch the ball everywhere. And then you have the two behind the forward, and they are the actual finishers. So 2 years ago, Ivi Lopez was 14 goals, and the other one I can't remember who it was, but I checked before, and the guy was 12 goals as well. So there's three midfielders, or the four midfielders, let's say, scored about 40 goals of Rakov 2 years ago.
Now, the season that says coming to an end, Rakov are unlikely to win the league, although you were saying there's still a chance. Is it time for Papszun to leave, or do you think he's still got more to do there?
So once again, you would have asked me 2 days ago. I would have said to you, okay, he's gonna stay because they're gonna be champion and go to Champions League qualifiers.
Yeah.
But if they finish second in Poland, you go to Europa League, which is less interesting for him.
Mm-hmm.
And again, in Poland, we all want him to see in another club. What I'm surprised is that during his break, he didn't find any club. So that's the biggest surprise for me. But it could be that he didn't speak English. I'm pretty sure I've heard that he took English lessons during his break. It could be the reason.
I was going to ask you to speculate on why he didn't find
Mm.
another club, but I guess that is a good enough reason.
Yeah, it could be as well that the guy, he's been a coach for 10 or 12 or 15 years in a row. Maybe he just actually wanted a break and
Yeah.
he thought he cannot do better. But we saw him coming back at Rakov. So it's a question everybody asks in Poland, like how, how come he came back to Rakov? There were talks as well that he was going to take the national team of Poland.
Mhm.
We thought maybe he was on the in the papers of the board of Legia Warszawa, which Legia is the biggest club in Poland. It's like if you compare the budgets, it's like PSG in France because the difference is so huge. All these kind of talks were going on in the press. In the end, he came back from Rakov. Me personally, as a follower of Polish Ekstraklasa, I just hope Papszun goes for a better league and we can actually see what he's capable of with better players.
If he to come to Rangers, do you think he would see that as a stepping stone to possibly the Premier League or the Spanish league or Italian league?
I don't know. I think he's already not far from 50 years old.
Okay.
So I'm not sure he has like a career in his mind, like, okay, I'm gonna go to Scottish Premiership and then I'm going to Premier League. But with this guy, you never know because once again, 7 years ago, his team and him completely unknown, and now he's one of the best coaches in Poland. So who knows what he can do?
Well, Joe, you're in a unique position because you do visit Scotland. How do you think he would do here if he came to Rangers?
So I think because he's a bit crazy, there are two solutions. Or you get champions or not far from being champion the first year, or you fire him after 3 months.
Right.
But I don't really think there's going to be something in the middle. And, hopefully for you, hopefully for him, he's champion. But yeah, he's very intense guy, intense coach. And, if everything goes well, I'm pretty sure you can really step up because what I've seen from the Rangers this year was really not good.
Yeah.
And I'm, even if it's not the best team of the Rangers, and I'm pretty sure like you had much better team in terms of quality. I also think that, you can, for example, a player like Connor Barron. This guy, he plays 60% of the minutes with the Rangers. He can do much better than he's currently doing. And he's typically the kind of guy that Papszun could have in his team.
Right. Okay.
So this kind of guy could improve. If you improve the midfield, obviously you're gonna improve the rest of the team. You're gonna do much better. Tavernier, he's a right back that could really score, and he already scored a lot of goals with the Rangers.
He is getting a bit older now. He's been with us 10 years.
But you see, like if he had three guys at the back, it could release him from some pressure of the defense. But I think you need to bring players at the Rangers anyway. Even from Poland, you could have, if you watch the Conference League, you have Pululu, for example. That is number 9 of Jagiellonia Białystok, best goal scorer of the Conference League. You have Steve Kapwadi from Legia that is really suited for Scotland. The guy is tall, strong, good with the ball, first pass. He would be ideal for the defense of Papszun. And it doesn't cost a lot because it's Poland, obviously. I think you need to bring more quality at the Rangers, that's for sure. But the players that are already there, I'm sure they can do better, and with Papszun they would do better. But again, only the ones that enter in his system, that he sees entering in his system.
Right. I mean, we're looking at probably a big outgoings and incomings this summer at Rangers. So he's going to have, if it was him to come to the club, he's going to have to be heavily involved, because there's no point in Rangers signing 10, 11 players if they're not the type of players that he wants, and they're just going to, sit in the stand. So is there anything else you'd like to tell us about him that we've not talked about?
No, I think we covered almost everything. We spoke tactics, how he's going to play. Once again, I think he's really suited for Scottish Premiership. Like, the guy is intense. He has this fighting spirit. He doesn't let go of anything. So, we can just hope it's gonna be. And because they lost this weekend, maybe it's good time for you to try to have him.
Good stuff. Well, Joe, thank you very much for coming on and talking to me today. Is there any Twitter handle you have that you could let us know about if anybody wants to follow what you do?
Yeah, so our Twitter website and everything, it's called Oh My Ekstraklasa. So it's like, oh my God, but you're replaced by, Ekstraklasa at the end. Because the Polish league is the best of the world. So, you can follow us on Twitter or anything. Obviously, we do it in French, but maybe you also want to learn this wonderful language that is French.
I've got to say, I do love going to visit Paris. I've not really been anywhere else in France, but it's one of my favourite cities, so I try to pick it up. So I'll give you a listen, see if I can understand any of it, Joe. Thanks very much. And again, I want to thank everyone for watching this series on the Rangers manager. And again, thank you for watching this podcast. And every night is Rangers Journal night. Good night.